Today on my desk, we got the G-Wolves HTX Mini and we got the HTS Ultra. And these are two shapes that I just absolutely had to try. The last time I did a G-Wolves review was back in 2023, I believe, when I first started doing reviews on this channel. And I kind of ripped into the HTX 4K, which is absolutely terrible QC build quality. I just wasn't impressed, but I loved the shape. And I always felt like G-Wolves had the potential to put out really great mice. They just kind of always fell short because of the limiting factors. Those more recent mice that have came out late last year and this year so far. Right now, G-Wolves is making their way to be, I would say, a go-to person, a go-to company to buy mice from, but they still suffer from a lot of the same things that people complain about: poor customer service and just overall simple things that can be fixed. So we'll talk about some of those things in this review, but without further ado, let's jump right into it. So let's actually start off with the build quality, the QC, and just some of the things that they have introduced with these mice. Now, reviewing both of these at the same time just because um, I could have done them separate, but I felt like since they're doing a lot of similar things, just one is geared towards fingertip, which is the HTX Mini, and one is geared towards claw grippers, which is the HTS Ultra. I figured I might as well just do like a combo video and just talk about the things that bother me the most about what G-Wolves has done, instead of just saying the same thing over two separate videos. Now, in terms of build quality, G-Wolves is doing what they always do. They use the PCB for support, as you can see right here. They're using the PCB for support, and they feel very sturdy. You know, these are ultra light mice, because that is kind of like the trend right now in the mouse community. These are ultra light mice. So we're looking at the HTX Mini being about, I want to say 29 grams, 27 grams, somewhere up in there. And then you got the HTS Ultra, which is about 30 grams, give or take, closer to about 31, 32. And these are like ultra light mice, but they are extremely sturdy. They feel like they're built like tanks. They're not anything like how the XM2 4K is, where it's just a very tank-like mouse, or like something from Vaxee. But in terms of like light mice in the market, these are some of the more better built mice. Even with all the holes and the indents and a lot of the openings that they did to reduce weight, these still feel like some premium lightweight mice. Now, in terms of QC, or in terms of just things like the main clicks, I do know with the HTS Ultra, it is rocking pink dots from Wano. I think they're like 80M, something like that. I can't exactly remember, 50M, 80M, one of the two. But these clicks are actually a lot better than the zippy clicks. I wasn't really a big fan of those zippy clicks and all of the G-Wolves mice. And then for me, the two HTXs I had always ended up having click issues, and the click life was just horrible. So I wasn't really impressed with the zippy switches. So I'm glad they switched to something more mainstream that everybody's more familiar with. With the HTX Mini, HTX Mini is rocking micro switches, so they're using side button switches for the main clicks, so you can get that even more ultra low feeling that the HTX is known for, just in a more compact shape. Now, in terms of build quality and things like that, and just how the clicks feel and all that, these are for the main clicks. The HTS is rocking, I believe, pink dot Wano main clicks. I think it's like 80M or 50M. They're not like necessarily the lightest. They're kind of like balanced. They feel tactile, but they're not just like super crispy or anything of that nature. But they are a very balanced click. They are still spammable to a certain degree, so I still feel like, you know, in game or even in codec scenarios, you still would enjoy these clicks. These are miles better than the zippy clicks. I just wasn't a fan of them. Like, I had two HTXs, and both of those had like terrible click lifespan. Those zippy clicks wasn't just a personal favorite of mine. They was terrible. And then with the HTX Mini, we were actually rocking micro switches with this one. The micro switches they are using, I really believe they Omron, because the side buttons are Omron 50M, I think. So I'm pretty sure that these are rocking Omron 20M for the main clicks. And this is actually something that I have never seen done before, a mouse using micro switches as the main clicks. Maybe I have, not just not too familiar, but this was like a very pleasant experience. Like, if I had to really choose out of the two, I really enjoyed the HTX Mini clicks over the HTS clicks. Now, I will say though that both of these, the clicks, how they feel, They both pretty much feel balanced. They don't really feel too light. They don't feel too crispy. They're kind of middle of the road. They're not, I would say the HTS feels a little bit more tactile, and it definitely has that more familiar mechanical feel to them. While these have a more like silent type of feel to them, I would say. They are a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to spam. These are spammable as well, but definitely the HTS clicks just feel a little bit better for me and my taste compared to what the HTS is offering. Now, another thing that G was introduced as well with the main clicks is they doing this overhang thing with their clicks, as you can see. So the HTS has a little bit more of an exaggerated overhang, and then the HTX has this overhang as well. Now with the HTX, the overhang kind of gives you this effect of like it being even more closer to the pad, and that's kind of one of the main caveats of the HTX was that it's such a low button height mouse. So when you're using it, it really does feel like you're drawing with a pen, or you're just very precise in your aim overall. So with the overhang clicks and with the concave curvature that they put on the main clicks, you probably can't really tell because of the grip, but with the right angle you can. But with that concave curvature they put on the clicks, overall it just transformed this mouse into being like as if you're writing with like you're writing calligraphy in a way. Very precise, very nice design for me personally on the HTX. Now, I will say with the HTS, I see the vision, but these feel a little bit more spongy with this type of design. These overhang clicks really remind me of like maybe like some Zowie mice, or like kind of like how the Vaxee 4K was with the overhang clicks on that one as well. It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely something that I don't really enjoy, but I'm sure a lot of people out there do. So, hey, to each his own. Now, in terms of side buttons feel exceptional. They're not mushy at all. They're very responsive, very tactile, very clicky. I haven't noticed any like, really crazy post pre-travel or anything of that nature, any wobbling, even on the main clicks. I haven't noticed like any crazy wobbling or anything of that nature. So overall, in terms of build quality, these are like top tier. Like they are durable, they're sturdy, they build like tanks. The scroll wheels are nice. They're not the lightest, but they are decent scroll wheels. They're very notchy. And then other than that though, this is very solid from G Wolves. Very solid build quality, very solid QC for them, and I'm glad that they greatly improved upon a lot of the mistakes they did in the past in terms of build quality. Now, as always, it's something that I always talk about in my reviews. I talk about the texture, the coating of the mice. Now, with G Wolves mice, they are notorious for not having a coating on their mice, which kind of ruins the experience overall being able to actually use it. So you almost guarantee to have to use the grips that they provide, or buy some aftermarket grips to be able to use this mouse. Some people actually do use their mice without grips. I don't really know how, but for me, I can't. I sweat a lot, and it's just absolutely too slippery. But what G Wolves has done with the Ultra series, or just with these updated mice, they have added in a lot of this golf ball like texture, as they call it. And as you can see, it's all over the mouse. I got the grips on the mouse, so you can't really tell at the moment, but it's all over. It's all over the mouse. The G Wool, the HTX Mini has like these indents more so than the holes on them, while the HTS is sporting the holes and like this weird like opening texture right here. Now, my only complaint with this is that they claim that this does provide like more grip for you, but it really doesn't do anything other than just give you like just a different texture feel over your hand. And me personally, I don't really know if I love or hate it, but considering the fact that I am using grips, I guess I should tell you that I really don't like it. I'm not really that much of a fan of it. For the HTS, I do have a complaint with the grips though, because the provided grips, I wish they was extending of the whole entire click. The whole entire main click, instead of just part of it in the front. I understand, with this mouse, it's a claw grip mouse and it's designed to be held a certain way, and the way that they designed the grips does line up with that methodology. But for me, since I play a little bit more back and I have more of like a fingertip type of grip, it's just kind of annoying having to feel this texture. So I ended up having to put some super grips on it. Now I don't have them on at the moment just because of me wanting to put the actual grips that came with it, so you guys can see a visual of what they look like. But that's kind of what I've been doing lately. I'm just not really a big fan of how this feels, but some people out there do. So like I said before, to each his own. This is the main reason why I wanted to do a review of both of these at the same time, because I really want to talk about the main caveats, the main benefits of these two mice if you're buying them. Yes, you're buying it for the shape if you love the shape, but G-Woods is doing something that a lot of companies haven't been experimenting with, other than like Ponage, which they happen to have beef with apparently. But this is a forward sensor position. So if you never used a more forward sensor position before, the idea behind it is essentially it makes your left right movements quicker instead of having it, down the middle, kind of like how, for instance, a lot of mice on the market is right now, like this Crazylight from Pulsar, or even stuff like the XM2 from Endgame gear. As you can see, it's pretty much right down the middle. Now with a more forward sensor position, like I said, it makes your left right movements a little bit quicker, so you can really feel it more in like your flicks and your targets, especially things of that nature. Now for me personally, after spending hours and hours of using these, I notice it more with the HTX Mini than I do with the HTS. With the HTS, it feels more, I would say, gimmicky in a way. It feels like as if I'm just using the mouse as positioned normally down the middle, you know what I'm saying? But maybe it's just because of the way I grip the mouse, because I do grip a little bit further back, so I don't know. But for me, it's not as noticeable on the HTS. I feel like somebody that has a more palm-like claw grip with this mouse, or just a more aggressive claw, could probably enjoy it more than I did. But for me, it was a lot more noticeable on the HTX. If you combine the HTX with its very low button height and then this more forward sensor position, it really does give you the feeling as if like you're truly aiming with your fingertips. It truly feels like everything you do is fingertip oriented. And I will argue almost that if you are a fingertip enjoyer, that this could be like next level in game for a lot of people. I just noticed that when I'm in games like Overwatch, tracking with Soldier, even doing flicks with Widow, or trying to heal and do damage with Ana, or even in scenarios in Kovacs doing like Control Spear, or even Smooth Bot, or even some stuff like air drills and whatnot, I just noticed that it really felt like I was really just doing everything with my fingertips. I don't know if that's the intended plan that G-Woods had behind designing the sensor position and this mouse the way they did, but this is definitely something that I really enjoyed with the HTX Mini in particular. Maybe somebody who has used this mouse in the past with the HTS can, kind of elaborate and talk more about their experience. But for me, it just wasn't as noticeable. And combined with that higher button height, I just felt kind of out of place at times when using this mouse. But it still is a solid mouse, and definitely these forward sensor positions is something that I didn't think I was going to really like that much or even really notice that much. But this is definitely something that can be a game changer for a lot of people, because for me specifically, like the way I aim, the more forward sensor position definitely helps me, enabling me to have those quicker flicks and a lot of those snappy like one frame flicks that you will see a lot of aimers do. It helped enable it a lot more, so definitely been enjoying it. And definitely this is something that I would say 100% like out of everything G-Woods has added, and this is something that I wish they would keep doing with their mice. Definitely been rocking with this. And this is the part of the video when I kind of break down individually what these shapes bring to the table, what you should expect from both of these shapes. Now with the HTS Ultra, this is a classic shape for claw grippers, you know what I'm saying? This is a fan favorite from G-Woods, and they just kind of just gave it some updated specs and updated things that I wouldn't say, well, much needed. But after the drop of the HTS2, a lot of people had mixed feelings about this shape, even though it was a solid shape. I would say I had a chance to experiment with it. The HTS Ultra is something that I think definitely was much needed for G-Woods to kind of get their name kind of like, ringing a little bit more in the community. So definitely, this is a very solid shape. It's a very round, very bulbous shape. You can tell from the curvature. It features a lot of slight inward type curves. The flare in the front isn't really too aggressive, and even when you're gripping it, it doesn't really bother you. So if you play more forward on the mouse, more of a palm like claw, and you more up here with it, you really doesn't bother you that much, you know what I'm saying? And even when you placing your thumb, the meat of your thumb can just sit in the grooves of the mouse easily, and it lines up perfectly with the buttons. Even with the pinky placement, for me, I'm able to curl my pinky, and it almost feels like something that was designed for me in a way when I use it. The only problem I really had with this mouse was the button height. The button height was like really too high, and because I play more of like a hybrid fingertip type of thing, when I play further back, it just feels really awkward. Now, is it doable because I have bigger hands? Definitely. But is it optimal? No. The HTX is like far more optimal for fingertips. So definitely, if you're buying the HTS Ultra, you're buying it primarily because you play a lot more palm claw, aggressive claw, relaxed claw, or you just play claw grip in general. But I will say though, even though this mouse is a smaller mouse, which I should have the dimensions up on the screen somewhere, even though this is a smaller mouse, it does feel bigger in hand. It does feel feeling in hand without feeling restrictive, if that makes sense. Kind of like how the tens mouse was, where when you use that mouse, it definitely felt like a bigger mouse. Like the grip width was bigger. It just felt like a bigger mouse in hand, and it felt way more restrictive in hand because of that really round and bulbous back. But with this, it has that same type of feel, but it's a little bit off center, it's a little bit more pushed up. So when you're using it, you're able to, like, you know what I'm saying, have more micro adjustments and things of that nature. So overall, the HTS Ultra is understandably a claw grip GOAT. It's definitely up there with the top ones, you know what I'm saying, like the XM2 and OP1, etc., etc. Definitely can see why a lot of people who claw grip really enjoy this shape, but it just wasn't something that was for me. I feel like a person who definitely claw grips will enjoy this a lot more. I will say the only issue that I did have over time with this mouse, outside of the button height, was that depending on how long I've been playing, I did experience very slight pinky pain, and it did start to feel like I was like pinching very hard with the mouse. But that's more of a personal issue for me these days than it is an issue with the design of the mouse. Overall, this is a very comfortable mouse, and I can see people being able to pick this up and just use it and just have it and enjoy it for a long time. Now, this one was my personal favorite out of the two. This is the one that I put the most hours on. This is the one that arguably probably would stay on my desk. Now, as you know, I've been going down the fingertip rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? I got my hands on the X2L from Pulsar, and I've been trying and experimenting with different fingertip shapes and just overall experiment with the fingertip grip style. And with the HTX Mini, this is a perfectly designed mouse. Even though this mouse is very small, like very, like, look at the comparison. It's very small, you feel me? Even comparing it to the HTS, like, you can see it's a very small mouse. But even though with it being very small, this is a perfectly designed fingertip mouse. It has the extremely low button height that everybody loves. It has the wider feel in hand, so it doesn't really feel like you gripping a pencil. You know what I'm saying? That's the one issue I have with a lot of fingertip mice, and that's one reason why, like, for instance, like the X2F is a favorite of mine, because it's a bit wider. You know what I'm saying? And that's one issue that a lot of fingertip mice have, that they're very narrow. And with this one, it, while giving you the extra grip width, it doesn't sacrifice feeling, it doesn't sacrifice you being able to be precise. It just feels very natural. Like, literally imagine a HTX 4K shrunk down in terms of length, but keeping the same dimensions in terms of width and with the hump. Now, I will say though, with the hump being, with the design of it overall being like a smushed down HTX 4K, the hump does feel a little bit more flatter. With HTX 4K, you can definitely get away with more of a claw grip style with that mouse because the hump felt more pronounced in the back. But with this one, it feels a lot flatter, so it feels a bit more like a true fingertip mouse. But if you do have baby hands, you know what I'm saying, you can get away with claw gripping this mouse. I've seen people being able to claw grip it. Unfortunately, I have like 20 by 11 or like 21 by 11 and a half hands, whatever it is. You know, I have decently big hands, so I'm not able to claw grip it. But in terms of just like a hybrid grip that's in between a claw and a fingertip, or just being able just to maneuver this mouse and manipulate it in any way that I really want to, this mouse is definitely the one. This is definitely the wave. Like, G Wolves 100%. I don't think y'all know this, but y'all have a banger on y'all hand, bro. And like, if you haven't tried it, this is like an awesome shape, really fun to use. And one thing that really stuck out to me was the button placement as well. It features a lot of the similar things that I enjoyed about the HTS in terms of like curvature, the flare, how it feels when I grip it with my pinky curled and whatnot. It just feels like a very familiar, very comfortable shape. But the one thing that really stood out to me was the perfect button placement. They're wide enough, they're big enough, and it just brings the mouse together for me. Just awesome buttons. Definitely, if I had to choose between HTX 4K and this, I'm going with this old HTX 4K at the moment, just because it fits more to my play style. And like I said earlier, combine that with that forward sensor position, it really truly gives me that feeling of like I'm just doing whatever I want to with my fingertips. So definitely, this is a certified banger right here, in my opinion. Now, with all of that being said, and everything I discussed in this video, who are these mice for? I would 110% 110%, like, what am I saying? I would 110% say that people who are looking for really solid, lightweight, high performing mice, these are some go-to mice. Now, The only issue that you probably will have is the pricing. And this is what I talk about with G-Wolves and why it's hard for me to just give them, like, you know what I'm saying, S plus tier ratings and just really you know, say they're a top company in the community, because they're not really for the consumer. They make shapes for like the aimer and the gamer, but their prices and their values kind of like, I don't know, I really don't rock with it like that, which is why I bought these secondhand. So with the HTS Ultra, if you was to buy this directly from them, this is a more of a better deal compared to the HTX Mini, because the HTS Ultra is about $110-$120 or something like that. So this makes it a really solid deal for claw grippers who really need a solid mouse. And this is like easily one of the best performing mice on the market, one of the best claw grip shapes on the market. So it makes sense to buy this from them with the decent pricing they have for this. But then you have the HTX Mini, and with this one, while it is a 3395 sensor, and it does have the same qualities that this one has, you know what I'm saying, in terms of performance and whatnot, it's $159, and that doesn't include shipping, it doesn't include taxes and tariffs and etc., depending on where you live at. So that's one of the many things I have with G-Wolves and their pricing. Their pricing is very weird, all over the place. They do this blind booking where the mouse is like $60, $50 cheaper, and then when it releases, like OD expensive. So definitely G-Wolves one of the companies for me where I can't really just directly buy from them because their mice are so expensive and it doesn't really feel worth it at times. But in terms of the secondhand market, if I see a G-Wolves mouse I like and I want to try, I no hesitation will pick it up because usually it's a good deal. So that is kind of like the only cons I would say is buying from G-Wolves and these mice is the pricing and just some of the other things that go on in the background. But if you can deal with a mouse that doesn't have a coating and you need to use grips and has really great performance and is very innovative in terms of what it's doing, these two are great shapes. So I definitely would say the HTX Mini and the HTS Ultra or S++ tier mice, and definitely, hey, they goated. But you know, I've been talking for a lot, you know what I'm saying? So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Other than that, it's been your boy Widget, I'm out, man.